Most people understand the stress happens in the limbic brain, but to really understand how that impacts our thinking, our behavior, our identity, our self-esteem, relationships, all of those pieces. And and I can tell you just a quick explanation of this, and then you can learn more in the book. But um, when we have perception, people think of the brain as like, this is me. And it's just my brain, but it's actually like a giant corporation with lots of different departments. And so I teach teachers and kids that their brain's like this giant corporation. And when we think about perceptions and stress and thinking, there's a few key departments that are involved. So the first is our vagus nerve, which isn't really in our brain. It's a big nerve, runs down the sides of our neck, down around our heart and our stomach. And it kind of serves the purpose of systems manager. So it is constantly monitoring internally. It's called interoception. Is our heart beating okay? Is our stomach emptying food? Are our lungs working? So it's all those internal functions. And it also monitors proprioception, which is kind of where is our body in space? Because if we're standing right next to a cliff, we could be in danger. So it wants to know that we know where we are in space and that everything internally is working. It sends all kinds of messages to our thalamus, which is like our data center. And I call that data center Harold. And so Harold's job as our sort of data manager is he looks at all the information in the environment and he takes the information from our vagus nerve and he writes up a report. And the way he determines how we should feel about that or whether we're in danger, because that bottom part of our brain is about keeping us alive. So it is programmed to look for danger. And so we have to fight against that to get it to look for good things, right? Because it's always looking for, could we potentially be in danger? So what Harold does then is he goes into our sensory memory bank. And this is another misconception. People think we have a library of memories and you just kind of go in and pull out folders and read your memories. But it's actually our brain fragments our memories and puts them in lots of different locations. So like episodic memory, totally different location than procedural memory, different location than sensory memories. So Harold only has access to our sensory memories. And this is why, like, if you walk into a room and it smells like cookies, your body relaxes because that's Harold saying, oh, the sensory information from the environment's telling me this is a safe place. This is a happy place. Because most of the time we have experiences with baked goods that are about holidays or families or grandma's house or something like that. So Harold goes into these sensory memories and he basically pulls out all the things that he thinks this is like that. And he creates like a series of filters, almost like lining up a whole bunch of like spaghetti strainers. And then reality hits, so we have our real data. And so if you think of that like a banana, you've got reality as the banana, then we shove it through all these different colanders that tell us how we should feel about it or think about it. You end up on the other side, it's still a banana, but it doesn't look like a banana. And I think it's really important that people understand every single person, siblings, even if they're twins, have different filters in their brain. And sometimes Harold makes false associations and holds on to them. So, for example, when I was growing up, my parents were divorced. So my dad would pick me up for his night out and he was always late. So at 8 years old, I spent a lot of time on my front stoop waiting. My brain, because I was sad because he wasn't there, associated time with negative emotions of like, I'm not worth it or unlovable or, disrespected or whatever. So these negative associations.